Hello everyone, this is Frank Dimora with the End Times Research Ministry. Today is January the 9th of 2018. If you just found my YouTube channel, I'd like to invite you to go over to my website, endtimesresearchministry.com, and when you're there, you'll see a picture of my book, the front and the back cover. Right below it, you'll see a link. Just click that link and you can get the book for free, The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. It's a documentary on Bible prophecy and current events. And it's filled with all the proof, evidence, documentation that you're going to need. It shows you that there is no question about it that the word of the Lord is being fulfilled. Those prophecies for the end times are coming to pass. So when you get over to my site, just look for the picture of my book below it. You'll see that link. And as usual, I tell everybody that you can get this for free. You don't have to pay for the download. It's a free book. My whole ministry has been free ever since the Lord put me in the ministry, and it will always be that way. So let's get right to it. In the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, I have a section about diseases, and over the course of these many years in the ministry, I've been giving warnings about what is going to happen in the future, and my warnings are based on what I know from the Bible, believing what Jesus Christ tells us in the Bible about the last days. And part of his warnings has to do with diseases that will show up in the last days, the prophecy sign. For example, in Luke 21:11, the Lord gave us this information, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, which means many places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. So I'm going to just center right now on pestilence, which is disease, because we're seeing all kinds of diseases that are showing up that the doctors are trying to take care of. We're seeing these super bugs, and there's all new diseases that continually pop up. Now, one of the warnings that I gave, for example, I'm going to go back. If you wanted to do a Google search for this, all you would have to do is write in exactly what I put there, and it will show up on Google. But back in 2009, I talked about what was in chapter 5 of my book, because I'm continually updating the book. So back in 2009, this is what I said, and it showed up in this Google search. In chapter 5 of my book, I tell you that diseases will jump from people to people, from animals to people, and diseases will begin to mutate. All of my warnings have already come to pass, and they are going to get worse. Also included in this Google search, there is a little bit of information about the newest disease that showed up. The scientists in Norway have identified a mutated form of the swine flu virus that is raising concern. Now, before I go any farther, I just want to give you a few scriptures that talk about the birds, the fish, and the animals that are going to be dying off in the last days. They're posted there. Just jot them down. Zephaniah chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. Hosea chapter 4, verse 3. And both of these talk about the birds, the fish, and the animals that will be dying off in the last days. So from my post of April 9th of 2013, remember I just showed you that my warning went back in 2009, that there was an article that came out, is new bird flu outbreak linked to 20,000 dead pigs, 3 die in China as scientists isolate new strand of killer virus. So back in 2009, I warned about the mutations, what was going to happen, and over the years, multiple mutations have taken place that have been jumping from pigs to humans, chickens to humans, and other diseases from animal to animal as well. Now, in this post of 2013, this is what I wrote under this video. In my book and over the course of the past 5 years, I have been warning you to watch for diseases that will begin to jump from birds to animals and then to humans. Here is an example of one of my many warnings on the issue. This warning is from my August 27th, 2008 post. One of the diseases that I've been warning you about is the bird flu. Health officials have already stated if this disease begins to jump from human to human, it will kill millions. Well, anybody that's read the news since 2008 when I issued that warning, they know that that's exactly what has happened, that many people around the world in different places have gotten bird flu. The disease did jump from the birds to humans. Now, in 2010, one of the warnings that I issued earlier, that also came to fruition. Bird flu jumps to pigs. So what I'm showing you is that when I issue a warning, it's not too long after we see the results of those warnings. And again, it has nothing to do with Frank Dimora. What it has to do is the belief in what Christ warns us. And if he tells us there's going to be diseases, for whatever reason, I can pinpoint how those diseases are going to break out and infect the environment that we live in, connecting from people to people or the birds to animals and so forth. Here's another one from the Google search, November 18th of 2013. The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, November the 17th, 2013 edition, written by Frank Dimora. And it says, virus killing dogs. When you go to this news link, there is a video. Please watch the video because at the 1 minute 9 second mark in the video, you will see this disease has jumped from pigs to dogs. So that warning has come to pass. And this article of 2005, new dog flu virus reported in 11 states, strains have jumped from horses. So just like I warned way back when, jumping from now, horses to dogs. And it won't stop there, folks. And we saw the warning about the pigs come to pass. You'll see it in this article. It was published on March 31st of 2015. Pig-borne disease jumped into humans when rearing practices changed. Now, in my post, March 11th of 2015, I talk about those diseases mutating. And I point out, virus behind swine flu in India mutates into more dangerous form. Study. So, there's a reason why I'm showing you the warnings that I've been giving you, and I'm showing you how the warnings are coming to pass. You're going to see that, so please stay with me. And again, this was taken from my video that I made. So also we see the warning about the dogs, these viruses being spread by dogs in the humans. And this article, June 1st of 2006, talks about the human Boca virus reported in U.S. children. And in this article, it talks about a new parvo linked to respiratory tract infections in young children is circulating in the New Haven area of Connecticut. An infectious disease laboratory at Yale University has reported. And when you read the article, if you do, you'll find out that this Boca virus has been reported in the United States, Sweden, Australia, and Japan. So you can just add this to the many warnings that I talked about that have come to pass. Here's another one that came out in the year 2016, Scientific Reports. Clinical significance of different virus load of human Boca virus in patients with lower respiratory tract infection. And you'll see some of the numbers that they gave for the year 2013 and 14, 654 patients.
A highly contagious dog flu is making the rounds in the U.S. It's time to pay extra attention to your furry friends, as the highly contagious H3N2 dog flu is currently spreading in the U.S. Canine influenza, otherwise known as dog flu, is spread through coughing, barking, or sneezing. Kennels, bowls, and other objects can also spread the virus, as the virus remains viable for up to 48 hours on the surface of such objects. Dogs infected with the virus may not show symptoms until up to 4 days after infection. Isolation is the only way to contain the virus from spreading. The H3N2 dog flu was first recorded in Chicago in 2015. The most recent outbreaks were reported at 2 large dog shows in Georgia and Florida. Almost all dogs are susceptible to canine flu infection. There is only one approved vaccine that protects dogs from canine influenza A H3N8, but it is unknown whether it can also shield dogs against the H3N2 virus. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support Tomo News at patreon.com/Tomo News. Dog flu and bird flu are no jokes, and there have been several outbreaks in recent years.
Thousands of dogs infected with Asian canine flu in US Midwest. Thousands of dogs across the US Midwest have been infected with a new strain of dog flu originating in Asia. The canine influenza virus is a strain known as H3N2. Once infected, dogs develop symptoms including a persistent cough, runny nose, and fever. The virus can be transmitted from dogs to cats, but not to humans. The virus has been circulating among dog populations in southern China and South Korea. Experts say it could have been introduced to Chicago by a dog traveling from Asia that was carrying but not yet displaying symptoms of the illness. Thousands of dogs in Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio have now been infected by the virus. It is estimated that less than 10% of affected dogs die from the illness. 6 dogs have died out of the 1,137 cases reported so far in the Chicago area.
33 million birds affected by worst U.S. bird flu outbreak. 3 deadly strains of avian flu virus have hit North America's poultry flock since December, causing the worst avian flu outbreak in the U.S. on record. More than 33 million turkeys, chickens, and ducks in 15 different states have been affected by the avian flu since December. About 40% of hens in Iowa are dead or will be euthanized, while in Minnesota, more than 14% of hens have died. The virus is spread by wild bird droppings left on farms, dust, and dander, or from the shoes of a person who moves from one facility to another. The infected birds are culled using carbon dioxide gas or a water-based foam that is similar to that used to suppress a fire. The carcasses are then buried in giant rectangular pits or incinerated. Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa have declared state emergencies. Minnesota lawmakers have approved $20 million in funding to help farmers to contain the virus.
Highly contagious strain of bird flu detected at Dutch poultry farm. A highly contagious strain of the bird flu virus has been discovered at a poultry farm in the Netherlands. The highly contagious H5N8 strain of bird flu was detected at a poultry farm in the village of Heckendorp, south of Amsterdam, on Saturday. In response, Dutch authorities have announced they are in the process of slaughtering all 150,000 birds at the farm. The same strain of bird flu was reported in Germany's northeastern state of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern on November 4th. More than 30,000 turkeys were slaughtered at the German farm. Bird flu poses a health threat to humans as they can contract the illness by handling infected poultry. In an attempt to contain the virus, the Netherlands has imposed a 72-hour ban on the transportation of poultry products across the country.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support Tomo News at patreon.com/Tomo News.
This year's influenza strain could be especially deadly to children. ABC News reports that 3 children have died of complications from a particularly aggressive strain of flu this year already, with 7 more children still hospitalized. ABC News reports that the CDC has stated that about 90% of flu cases so far this year have been the H3N2 subtype. Children, the elderly, and anyone with a compromised immune system are most vulnerable to this particular subtype of flu. ABC News reports that Dr. Pritish Tosh from the Mayo Clinic says the H3N2 flu virus can enter the bloodstream and then the brain, causing shortness of breath and a very high fever. Tosh added that even the immune systems of healthy children can overcompensate, causing white blood cells to flood the lungs. He added that the H3N2 strain of flu is not well matched to the predictions of the surveillance community, which means that this year's vaccine is also not a great match for the virus. However, Tosh added that this does not necessarily mean a vaccine will not help curb the spread of the flu, and encourage members of the public to get their flu shots.
As we realized more and more dogs were getting sick, we started to first reach out locally to other community veterinarians to confirm they were seeing what we were seeing, and then working through our vaccine manufacturer to work with the university to try to put all this together.
In the Chicago situation, the samples were coming back with no answers. There were multiple tests were coming back with virtually nothing.
When we understood that this was not H3N8, that it was probably something else, we were really aggressively then trying to do the kinds of testing that we needed to do to identify what this was.
Especially when we're dealing with respiratory disease that is new or unknown in a community or in a shelter setting, doing diagnostic testing helps us differentiate amongst all of the potential pathogens when we're seeing those kind of nonspecific signs.
Merck was fantastic. They put us in touch with their veterinary division at Merck, who assisted us with submitting samples and trying to identify the true cause behind this outbreak.
Merck, because of some work we had done with them previously, knew we had developed this respiratory panel here and it was very effective in what we were doing. They, through their clients and their representatives of Chicago, started getting samples directed to us. So they were absolutely instrumental in us being involved in this particular outbreak.
So I worked with Cornell very, very closely. Their viral lab was incredibly helpful in just guiding us on how to obtain the proper swabs for testing and what they're looking for, and as they diagnosed and isolated the H3N2 strain, you know, what they were taking from South Korea and helping kind of filter that information to us.
You know, if it was just one veterinarian or two veterinarians randomly submitting tests, we wouldn't have figured it out, right? So by Merck even paying for all these tests, it was helpful because I think it helped get the ball going that we were able to identify, or, you know, through Cornell and all these different diagnostics labs, they were able to team together to identify it was a totally different strain.
So, as I've been warning over the years about these diseases mutating, here again in May of 2017, we see that this dog flu has mutated into a new form, the H3N2. Watch this.
Pet owners have a new reason to be concerned. The first case of a strain of dog flu has been confirmed in Florida, and vets in our area are seeing cases of it already. News Channel 5's Gabrielle Saran joining us now with what you can do to protect your animal. Gabrielle?
Kelly, this flu virus is lethal. If your dog is around other dogs, go to the dog park, the daycare, the groomers. Veterinarians told me the best defense is a new vaccine. It can save your pet's life. Susan Eustace is smitten with her Yorkie Shih Tzu mix, Cassie.
She's my favorite person in the world.
So when her dog started coughing,
just couldn't catch her breath, and her nose was flaring, and I didn't know what to do with her. She sort of clenched her teeth together.
Eustace rushed her to Clintmore Animal Hospital in Boca Raton.
What did you think? That she was going to die because she couldn't breathe.
Veterinarian Brian Butzer recommended Cassie get this vaccine to protect her from a new strain of canine flu, H3N2. The Department of Agriculture sent this alert that the virus is spreading.
I would classify it as if you don't treat your dog, the dog's going to die.
Dr. Butzer asked Eustace to monitor Cassie for symptoms of the flu.
Within like 24 hours, the dogs are much worse. High fever, semi-collapse, not eating, nasal discharge.
He's seen few cases so far this year, but when they crop up,
we've got to get that dog away from other dogs. It's highly contagious. It can spread through a facility in a matter of 24 to 48 hours. I have been through an outbreak, and I know it can happen again.
On January the 8th of 2018, yesterday, the New York Times reported on another disease that has been killing off deer. And the headline, State Confront the Spread of a Deadly Disease in Deer. The picture they're showing you here in the report just shows that these hunters who have been given license to kill the deers are bringing these deers in, and what they're doing is they're taking out some of the lymph nodes from the deer to check if the deers have this disease. This is taking place in Montana, and it's spreading. So I'll just start right here. We're almost finished. It has ravaged deer herds throughout the United States and Canada and forced the killing of thousands of infected animals in 24 states and 3 Canadian provinces. It has also been found in Norway and South America. With the disease widespread in Wyoming, the Dakotas, and the province of Alberta, Montana officials have been bracing for its emergence. Considering the fact that we already had a warning from our Lord about events like this taking place, disease that were going to wipe out the animals, wipe out the fish and the birds, take it to heart because it's happening. And what you're seeing here is just a minute tip of the iceberg of what's been reported over the past 7 years. Hundreds, literally, hundreds and hundreds of reports. And you'll find those reports in my book. You can get it for free. And what I do here at this ministry, I'm giving you the facts. And every time there's a report about the birds, the fish, and the animals that are dying off in these mass numbers, you will find that information on my website. You will find that information in my book, and I keep it updated. As you can see from the beginning of my video, the updates of my book were January the 3rd of 2018. So please, go over to my website, Endtimesresearchministry.com. Download my book. As I said in the beginning, you'd be able to get that book today for free. And just so that you know, when people write prophecy books and are including events that are taking place around the world, by the time their book hits the market, that information has been already outdated. At least with my book that you will be getting for free, the updates that you will be reading about are current updates. So you don't have to wait a year to read somebody's work. Look at, I enjoy you being here. It's my pleasure and my blessings to work for the Lord to bring you this information to help you get ready for the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go over and continually look at the information we post every other day, and when special events take place, we'll post those, and when special reports break out, I don't care if it's on Saturday or Sunday, we also post on those days as well. But right now, just keep your eyes on what's going on, because there's going to be more of the same news coming out. It's going to get much worse. The mutating diseases are going to continue. The jumping from the animals to humans and back and forth, the different birds and the fish, they're dying off just like the Lord said. So it's good information to help you get ready for our loving Lord, who wants you to be ready when He comes so that He can take you home. And trust me, it'll be my joy to fly with you when He comes home. God bless. This is Frank Dimora with the End Time Research Ministry.